Welcome to the Fenrir class. Today we get to learn about the screen reader Fenrir. It is a user space console screen reader, and just recently it also got support for running under the Xorg session with things like Xterm. So Fenrir, I've always tried to be very careful with the design to make keyboard commands feel familiar, basically so that it's a screen reader that reads the screen and stays out of your way so you can get things done. It has some tools that really help out with things. For example, it has progress bar tones so that you can turn speech off and still hear that your program is doing something. And in some cases, if it's nearing completion, if there isn't really a progress bar and there's just chatter, it'll still beep, and when the beeps stop, then you know it's finished. It has a lot of the same features that you would expect in a modern screen reader. And you really can just install it and go with knowing that you can use the numpad keys to review your screen. So 7, 8, and 9 on the numpad are previous, current, and next line. 4, 5, and 6 is previous, current, and next word. And 1, 2, and 3 are previous, current, and next character. And that's really all you need to get started, because it by default will read new text as it appears on the screen. You can use Control or Shift to stop speech. It will also read what you type by default. I always turn that off, so it took me a while to set that as the default, but I know some people really need the feedback when they're typing, so character echo is enabled by default now for fresh installs. There are only a few distributions that have Fenrir as a package. Among those are Stormux, of course, and Slint. Arch Linux has it in the AUR, or the Arch User Repository, and Debian actually packages it. And it's pretty current depending on which version of Debian you're running. But even on the more stable versions, it's an earlier version from this year. But the latest, I'm not really sure how they handle the different branches, but I think the latest testing has the most recent Fenrir release. If you are on a distro that does not package it, so long as you can get all the components that it requires, and there's a bunch of them, it's a Python program, so there's a lot of Python libraries that it needs. If you can get all those installed, you do not have to have it packaged. You can just run it from Git. So you would git clone https://git.stormux.org/storm/Fenrir. And then you could change into that directory and just run /Fenrir with root privileges, of course, and it would come up speaking. Now, with the new X edition, you do not have to run it as root, so you would just do /Fenrir-X. And if you were in Xterm, it would open and start reading for you. In the i38 desktop, which is another one of my projects, if you have Xterm and Fenrir installed, then the default terminal key binding of Alt+Enter will open up a terminal and Fenrir at the same time, so you don't really have to do anything. There is an installation script in there, but honestly, I've ran it a couple of times on test boxes and it seemed to work, but it may actually be out of date now because things have changed. I guess I will need to revisit that script at some point and make sure it's still usable. But yeah, so there are plenty of ways to run this, from official packages or packages in extra repositories or whatever, all the way down to just cloning it and running it. And in some ways, cloning it and running it is the best method of all, because you get changes as they happen. You just got to remember to go in there and occasionally git pull and make sure the latest code is checked out. The repository is laid out in such a way that master is, as far as I can humanly make it, always runnable. It will never fail. And I probably need to find some wood and knock on it, or maybe even like a whole rainforest at this point, since I said something that declarative. But yeah, master is always supposed to work. If it doesn't, we have a critical problem, and I should be informed right away. Testing is another branch, and you would get to that by typing git checkout testing. And if you go to that branch, it's pretty often going to work. There's been a few times where it was in a broken state and I didn't realize it, and I pushed changes because I had something else to do, and I just got up in the middle of coding on it and wandered off and dealt with other stuff, and then came back and it's like, why will my Fenrir not start? But most of the time, testing should run. And with other branches other than testing, which you can find with git space branch space -a, any other branch other than master and testing may or may not run at any given time. Unless you're actively developing and wanting to contribute to Fenrir, I would recommend not using other branches unless I specifically contact you and say, hey, can you test this branch? Do we have any questions about what's been covered so far? Okay. So one of the most important features of Fenrir is its Clipboard integration. There is a new version being tested currently, and I will probably be releasing it in a day or two, unless I find any really big showstoppers. If you are running the -X version of Fenrir, so if you're in Xterm or another terminal that's supported, it will keep your X clipboard, like your desktop's clipboard, and your terminal, your Fenrir clipboard, in sync. So if you copy something in X, let's say you're browsing the web and you find something cool that you want to try in the command line, if you copy that in your browser, it will automatically be in the clipboard in Fenrir, and you can just paste it. So our Fenrir clipboard commands are based on a mark system. And the way you use that is with the Fenrir key. So in desktop mode, that is numpad insert, Fenrir plus X at the beginning of the line wherever you want to go. So you use your review keys. Remember 7, 8, and 9, previous, current, and next line. And then 4, 5, and 6 are words, 1, 2, 3 are characters. So using those review keys, you find the first character that you want to copy to the clipboard. And when you're on that, you can press Fenrir key, which is numpad insert, plus the letter X. And if you have sounds turned on, which is the default, you'll hear a sort of a click sound in your left ear. And then, once you have that done, you find the very last piece of the information that you want to copy to the clipboard. So use your review keys, move your review keys all the way over to the last letter. Like if you want to copy a sentence, you would move it over to the dot. And when you hear the dot, you would then press Fenrir plus X again, and you would hear another click sound, this time in your right ear. Now, sometimes you might mess up, and you might accidentally mark something that you didn't mean to. And if that happens, let me actually go make sure and do this while I'm talking about it. Okay, so If I want to remove the marks and start over, I would press Fenrir plus Control plus Shift plus X. And that says remove any marks that I've set. And then you can start from the very beginning, make your first mark, make your last mark. And then once you have both marks, you would press Fenrir plus C for copy. So it's just like when you're in your browser or something and you would press Control C or like a document, except in this case we're using the Fenrir key. So Fenrir plus C will copy to the clipboard. If you don't have anything selected, it will tell you that 1 or 2 marks are needed. There's a bit of a shortcut. So let's say that you don't want to bother with the second mark. If you set the first mark and then you move to the last letter that you want to copy, you can just go ahead and hit the the Fenrir and C, and it will infer the second mark from your current location. So really, you only have to set that one mark. If you want to set the second mark, to be consistent or whatever, you're certainly welcome to do so. Either method would work. Okay, so with the clipboard, we're probably going to spend quite a bit of time on this because it is a very powerful feature. With the clipboard, you can review what you have in your history by doing Fenrir plus page up or page down. And as you read through it, the current item becomes the one that's in your clipboard. So whatever you hear is what will be pasted if you do Insert plus V. Another shortcut is if you need to copy a single line or a single word, you can use your review keys to find the line that you want to copy and just read the line, the current line with the numpad 8, so that you're making sure you get what you want in the clipboard. And once it has spoken the text, there is a copy last spoken command, so you'd want to hit Fenrir plus Control plus C. So it's just like the other command, except this time we're adding control to it. There are no need for marks. You just listen to what it is you want to copy and then hit that shortcut, and it will put it into the clipboard. This works with anything. So, you can review a line and press it, or you can review a word and press it, or a character even. If you want to copy some fancy character that's not on your clipboard, you just let Fenrir read it and then hit the Fenrir Control C, and it will be in your clipboard. It's a really powerful feature, and there's even a way to save the clipboard to a file or read in things from a file into the clipboard. But those, because of the other powerful features, are kind of overshadowed by everything else, and they get used so little. I've honestly considered removing them. I just haven't yet because there's other stuff to be done. So with the clipboard history and the ability to copy whatever you hear and to copy specific chunks, it is a very powerful, full-featured clipboard system. I've not had any complaints at all about being able to copy stuff or move things between the graphical session and the terminal, any of that sort of stuff. But going a little bit further into this, in the console version of Fenrir, which is how it started out as a console-only screen reader, it does not automatically sync between your clipboard and your graphical clipboard because that's a little more. They're not as well linked together. So we do have keys that will work in either version, and those are Fenrir plus F7 will bring whatever's in your graphical clipboard into Fenrir, and Fenrir plus F8 will send whatever's currently selected in your Fenrir clipboard to the graphical clipboard. So if for some reason you're in the console and not just using everything from the Zorg session, that is another way to get things synced between the two clipboards. It's just a little more hands-on if you're using it in the console. So the next thing is automatic prompt detection and progress bars. Fenrir does have the ability, and it's on by default, to beep when there is a progress bar. So if you're installing something and your package manager is doing a ton of work, or curl is downloading something, or it will most likely beep while that's going on. It does for Arch because that's where I do all my development and it's my primary system.
Mute microphone.
Do you have a question?
Mute microphone.
Sorry, I was looking for the earphone. Actually, what drives me crazy about a lot of these screen readers, including NVDA, is they all refer to the name of the screen reader plus some keystroke, and it's like, well, that's not a name of a keystroke. That's the name of a screen reader.
That is. Can you mute so I don't get
sure. Okay, let me find the earphone here. 1 second. Okay.
Volume slider 100%.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a customary thing between all screen readers. And usually when they say the screen reader key, it's because the numpad insert has been designated on the numpad. So if you're using NVDA and somebody says NVDA plus whatever, that means numpad insert. Or if you're in laptop mode, a lot of times it's caps lock. With Fenrir, the default laptop key is the super key, which is often called the Windows key.
Okay, well, I guess I'm used to the old DOS ways where the keystrokes were labeled as what they really were designed for, not so much what they're used for, with a particular screen reader.
Yeah. The deal is you never know if somebody's going to be using laptop mode or desktop mode. So Fenrir key for someone might be super, or it could be caps lock, or it could be insert, or it could be something totally redefined by the end user.
Mm.
So you never know. Which is why that was adopted.
Oh, okay. And I'll be back more later with another something else unrelated you haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
Unless you want me to fire it away now, either way.
Well, you can, right?
Okay, sure. So you remember, Storm, that I took my laptop away on a trip to Jersey or somewhere, and I was using your Arch distro, and I had a vicious time using Alpine, the mail client, because your Fenrir kept interrupting speech, and you said, well, most of your users don't use Alpine. So my question is, do you have triggers that somehow interrupt speech, so the highlighting goes to a certain part of the screen just automatically after so many seconds or something? That's one of the reasons I've been hesitant to go back to trying Fenrir again, because I'm in Alpine all the time,
There's been a lot of work done on Fenrir with how it tracks stuff and the cursor movements and all that sort of stuff. I would actually like for you to try Alpine again and let me know what the experience is like.
Can I? Here's a weird one. Could I run Speak Up on one console and Fenrir on another, or I have to close? I have to close Speak Up altogether on that.
Yes, they fight.
Yeah.
Although I think you could run, if you have a graphical session, you could probably run Fenrir with the -X flag and it would be fine.
Yeah, but I'm not really comfortable with graphical. But yeah. Okay. Well, sometime. I'm not sure whether I want to try that on my. And both these machines are running Debian SID. So I don't know. After our trip to Vegas to see the Stray Cats, we'll see what happens.
Maybe I will try Alpine and see how it works myself too, and then maybe I can do a little work and see if we can get it more stable.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, and the other people on this broadcast don't know how accessible you've been and how helpful. I mean, working with individual, I assume not just me, I mean others. I mean, you're really maintaining this live. It's not just like you slop this together and then years later nothing's happening with it, you know. So that's why I'm kind of willing. I mean, I remember I asked you about single number processing, and you tried to put something together. It wasn't perfect, but it was a try, which is more than I can say for some other screen readers, which I won't drop names of.
We actually did get the single digit reading working.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, it takes so much more time to hear millions and things than it does just to hear the single digits.
Yeah, it's one of the settings that you can turn on, and that's actually a good segue into the next part.
Okay, then I guess I'm going to mute. I think.
Before we move to something else, Storm, do I understand you that I could use Fenrir in the graphical section rather than Orca?
Resize chat panel with left settings. Mute microphone.
You can use it in the graphical session, but only in a terminal, so it does not replace Orca for web browsers or documents in like Pluma or Mousepad or whatever. But if you open up Xterm, it can read that.
Okay. That's interesting. That might get me more familiar with it if I played around with it there.
Also, the latest Cthulhu actually has code in it to where if it sees Xterm, it releases the clipboard, or not the clipboard, it releases the keyboard and lets Fenrir have it. So if you're using Orca, you may actually have to turn off Orca to use the terminal.
Right, but if I switched over to Cthulhu, then that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, they seamlessly work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because, I mean, the reason I'm really, I mean, you're develop, I want to support Fenrir, number one. And number two, not to be W, but I do use Emacs a lot for my editing. And that has its own screen reader, so you have to turn off your whatever you're using in the rest of i38. Otherwise, you're getting two voices. But having a terminal open and Emacs open would work really well. And I'm used to switching one off and going to the other. Interesting.
Is there anything that I could do with i38 that would make that workflow easier?
Way back when, and I'm going back with you, when we were doing
Uh-oh, I think we lost you. Can you check and make sure you didn't get muted somehow? I don't know. Connection error. Okay. Well, we'll give her just a second to come back and then see if we can solve this problem. Actually, I might go ahead and talk about a bit of the settings stuff, at least some of the more simple stuff, while we wait, and that way we don't have a whole bunch of empty recording time here. But let's see. I'll get back into my Fenrir window here. In order to change your speech settings, rate, pitch, volume, if you're using Speech Dispatcher or one of the other provided speech things, you can just hold down the Fenrir key and use your left and right arrows to find the setting that you want to change. For example, speech rate, and it will tell you what it's currently set to, and then you can use up and down arrows to change the value. So, as if I go to speech pitch and I start moving down, the voice starts dropping in pitch. Welcome back.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, that was kind of odd, but maybe some sort of connection error or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, way back in Linux land, it did turn itself on and off. And I don't know, but that was, Orca, 3.0 or something. So I don't know if it's worth putting any energy in.
I think I can make Cthulhu do it. I will just reuse kind of the same code that detects the terminal, and if it detects Emacs, it'll do the same thing.
Well, there's that.
I'll see if
it would just make my life so much easier.
I'll see if I can't get that into the next release. I'm planning it for a couple of days, and I was thinking about code freeze and just having people test, but that shouldn't be very hard. I think I can do it and still send a decent product.
Yeah. Well, let me know if you want me to give it a whirl. It's obviously an edge case. Email. Yeah, it's an edge case.
Edge cases make the world go round. Or square, depending.
Yeah, exactly.
And while you were reconnecting, we were talking about the Fenrir speech settings, the quick speech settings. Just as a quick recap for you, it's the Fenrir key plus left and right arrow to go through the different components.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with that already?
Yes, I am. I know there's not a lot of choices. I have it with eSpeak NG, and there's only a couple voices that work well. you get a whole slew of them, but
yeah, I use RH voice most often because I really, really like the Lubov voice, Lubov. That voice is like, I used to use BDL, and then I heard that one, and I was like, I think I want to try this one out for a while because it sounds cool, and I never switched back.
So how would I install that?
Are you using a Stormux system or one that you've set up on your own?
I am, and I'm on a Pi 500, so I do not have. I'm using a laptop keyboard, so.
It should be in your list of voices. If it should be.
It's not.
Interesting. How long ago did you install?
Oh, I don't know. Last fall.
Okay, so there's been a lot of changes since then. You could install RH Voice and RH Voice-Voice- BDL or Lubov. But the problem is, with the latest version of that Lubov voice, they've made it all muffly sounding, and it's not quite as good as it is. I actually held it back a version because I like the way it sounds better. It's very bright, very sharp, and easy to hear.
Okay, so I mean, I've just been updating my system, so I don't know why I didn't get something.
Some of the new stuff that gets released in new images has to be installed manually. There is a program that is available in Stormux called SAS, or Stormux Assistant Service. If you would like me to come and take a look, it uses a reverse SSH tunnel. So if you want me to come take a look, we can walk through that one day.
Okay, yeah, reach out when that's convenient for you, and we'll set up a time we can do that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
Let me mute this so you can carry on.
Slider. 100.
Storm.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the earphone was in halfway and it was garbled. A couple of questions. I guess I wouldn't mind hearing that voice that you like so much in RH, because the RH voices I've heard some time ago were I don't know, they were like bassy for my mind. I prefer a more natural sounding woman's voice like I get from Voxen. Not Samantha, one of the other ones.
Amanda?
No, not Amanda. I can't think of her name. And I guess I can't use, if I did this on my desktop machine, I can't use it with the DeckTalk USB device, right?
With Fenrir?
Yeah.
Yes, we have hardware speech synthesizer support.
Oh, how nice.
Yep, it's brand new as of last version.
That might mean you have a better driver than another screen reader I can think of.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't actually have one of those synthesizers, but then there was a project by John G. Himes.
Yes.
His name.
Yes, with the Pi.
I was able to look at that code and see how it was done there, and then port that over to Fenrir. And Cthulhu, actually. Although I don't think it's officially been tested on Cthulhu yet.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting to try on my desktop machine with the DeckTalk and with the Speak Up keyboard layout, which I'm more familiar with.
I'm sorry, things went a little crunchy for me. What did you say?
You also have the Speak Up keyboard layout that one can choose from.
We have the Fenrir layout and the desktop layout. I got rid of a whole bunch of them because nobody was using them, and they were half implemented and not a very good fit.
Oh.
But you know what? Learning is good for you.
Oh, that's what my wife says. My wife says I'm supposed to learn something new every day. She said, learn the graphical. Like, oh, no. But yeah. All right, I'll shut up and let someone else talk. Oh.
Okay, so one last thing I wanted to cover. There's stuff that is being left out because it's useful in specific circumstances, not useful in general every day. I need to read stuff in my terminal. But one last thing I did want to cover is the menu system has gotten much nicer. So most of your settings that you want to change, you no longer need to edit the /etc/Fenrir screen reader /settings/settings.conf file. You no longer need to edit that. Most things, the first place you should look is by pressing Fenrir plus F10. And it'll say entering vMenu. And you want to go into the Fenrir menu. And there's all kinds of different settings in here. There's keyboard, general, sound, speech, screen, management, and that's it. But most of the settings that you want to change are in those menus, and you can set them right from there without touching any config files. The exception to this might be the hardware synthesizer. I haven't tested the vMenu for that because I don't have one. and I really don't want to lose speech. But yeah, the first place you want to look for changing your settings is in that menu. You still have the option of editing the file by hand. You can use sudo edit /etc /Fenrir screen reader /settings /settings.conf. And you can also edit your keyboard files. So if you don't like the way something is in desktop or laptop mode, change it to however you would like it to be, and then set your keyboard to your custom file. So it's 100% configurable. Fenrir also has the ability to run custom scripts. System-wide is in /usr, and the local scripts, well, I guess I should give that full path. /usr, Fenrir, /share, Fenrir screen reader, scripts. And you put your scripts in there. There's an example that comes with it. I should probably add some more in by default, but I'm not really sure what to send because these are made for people that have custom needs and want to do different things than everybody else. For example, I have a script to mute and unmute Barnard, so I can just hit a button anywhere in the terminal and it'll toggle it on and off. I also have music player controls, so I can pause, skip, see what's currently playing, all that sort of stuff, just with a Fenrir script. Usually the Fenrir script key is, I don't remember what they call it. It's the one that opens up your context menu. It's basically the same thing as Shift F10 in the graphical session. It's interesting because I think Fenrir key names calls it compose or something. I'd have to go digging through my keyboard documentation for that one. Is it the applications key? I don't remember the name of that key currently. But you hold it down and you press the key that your script is bound to. And a lot of these scripts use the name of the script itself, like key _ B, and then _ _ whatever the name of your script is. And your scripts can be Bash or Python or Lua, because all it does is just run it. It doesn't have to be Python. And the local version of these scripts, let me make sure I do this right. Okay, so the local version go in //.local /share /Stormux /Fenrir screen reader /scripts. And if you're using the -X version so that it runs inside the graphical terminal, you can run scripts from that. If you're using the console version, your scripts have to be in the /usr /share directory, because the console version is root-based because of how it has to access the keyboard and read the screen. But the version that runs inside Xterm is not root-based because it doesn't need those same privileges. I'm trying to think what else I should talk about because, okay. So to switch your mode, so normally you start in cursor mode, which is what most things use whenever there's text on the screen. Cursor mode picks it up and just reads it, and there's no problems. But sometimes, like for the free command, if you type free, let me do that real quick here. I'm going to do free -H. So this is presented in a table format. If I press numpad insert plus numpad, and I always get these wrong, but I think it's numpad star. It's the third one over. So you have numlock, and then you have, I think it's numpad slash and then numpad star. But I always get those backwards, so hopefully I didn't this time. But anyway, it's Fenrir plus numpad star. You can find the first line of your table. In this case, it's the word total, and mark it. And then go to the last character in line and mark it. And then, let me go back to table mode. Okay, so then you can navigate with your same review keys, but this time it'll read you the column that you're in and the information associated with it. So, for example, I found the line that actually shows the memory and its uses and stuff, and whenever I press current word, it says mem : 1, so short for memory. And then column 2 is 31 gigs. And yeah, each one gives its associated column and information along with it. And then after table mode, if we were to press Fenrir plus numpad star again, we go into highlight tracking. And this is useful for things that have like TUI menus and stuff, and they don't read very well in normal cursor mode. This will sometimes help with that stuff. Like Network Manager with NMTUI, you want to be in highlight tracking when you're trying to connect to a network. Otherwise, it reads very poorly. In Stormux, especially during the setup process, if you do it manually, you'll have to adjust it manually, but during the setup process and installation, it takes care of putting it in and out of highlight mode for you, so you don't have to worry about it there. But it's something to keep in mind if you need to change network addresses or any of that sort of stuff. Oh, and one last thing. I think I did say that before, but this time for real. If you're reading and there's a bunch of text coming in, like during package updates, for example, you can press the numpad enter key, and it'll play a little downward pitched chord, which means that it's not going to read anything else while that text scrolls on your screen. But if you press any key, like if I hit arrow, or not arrow, if I hit control, it'll do the upward pitch chord. And that means that it is now back in normal mode and text will be read as it is received. But if you use this mode and something needs your attention, like say you are waiting for some packages to install, and so it's being real chattery and you want it to shut up for a minute, but the packages are going to take like 5 or 6 minutes, you can hit this button, the numpad enter, and walk away, and whenever it's finished with those packages and your prompt returns, it will automatically turn back on speech and give you like the last line or two, or so you can hear what's happened and that your prompt has returned. It'll also do that on sudo password for whoever, and in a couple of places. Now, if you absolutely want no speech unless you ask for it, just add the Fenrir key to the numpad enter. So I'm pressing insert and enter here, and it will say auto read disabled. Now I can still use my review keys, and hear everything on the screen. But new speech or like an updating progress bar at the bottom of the window will not interfere with what you're reading. So this is actually extremely useful if you happen to use Codex or Claude or any of those things, because they all have the world's... Well, Codex isn't so bad. The progress bar still does interfere with speech, but Claude, it's probably the worst designed TUI of them all, honestly. You can use it, it's just a bit harder than it needs to be. But if you put it in this mode, you can navigate those and get the progress beeps for while it's working on whatever you've asked it to do. And when the beeps stop, you know it's time to go look at the window and see what's new. And it's a toggle, so if you press Fenrir plus numpad to enter again, you will get auto read enabled. And then the same thing works for progress bar beeps, except it's numpad plus. So if you press numpad plus, it'll say progress monitoring disabled. So if you get tired of the beeps and want to turn them off for a little while, press that. It's also a toggle. Press it one more time and they come back. Progress bar monitoring enabled. If you want them to be off by default, you can set that in the Fenrir configuration file in /etc/Fenrir screen reader /settings/settings.conf. And I think that's pretty much it for this class. We covered a whole bunch of things because I figured this class would just be rattling off a bunch of keyboard commands and this and that and the other, and it's pretty much what it was. But Fenrir is very easy to use, but it's also very powerful. So if you need, it does as much as you need it to. If you need to copy stuff around and move things around all the time, you can do that with the clipboard stuff. And of course, you would need to know those commands. It does have a windowing feature, which I almost never use, but it is there. It uses the mark system to set the beginning and end marks. So yeah, if there's some functionality that you think is missing or is needed or whatever, it may already exist. Just ask me about it, and if it doesn't, I can hopefully add it. But I think at this point, Fenrir is almost feature complete. We even have a speech history thing, which you can access with it's insert Control H. So you can, and it kind of works like clipboard history. So you can go through all the stuff that you've heard Fenrir say and even copy it to the clipboard if you want to.
Did I hear that it had a spell checker, and what's that about?
It does have a spell checker. Spell check is on by default. If you misspell something, it will make a pretty nasty sounding blurp sound at you. So if I write the word cat, but I put CAAT and then hit space, it's going to chirp at me and say that's misspelled. If you use your review keys and find the word, you can also press Fenrir plus S, and it will do that same blurp sound. But if I change it to cat, C-A-T, and then I do that, it'll say correct.
Mute microphone. Toggle button.
Storm.
Yep.
Chime again here. So I guess it was ASAP, one of the old DOS screen readers had a thing where you can interrupt the reading and you wouldn't lose your place and you could resume listening. You guys have something like that?
Not really.
Oh.
Anyways. That sounds like a good idea for a feature.
Yeah. I thought maybe you had that. And yes, if you're willing, I'm willing to work with you live on the Deck Talk business on my desktop machine. Maybe after we get back from our trip, see if that works out. Okay. I would probably, I'd probably want some kind of an alias to switch back and forth between Speak Up and you guys, but anyway.
Yeah, just contact me when you get back from your trip, and we'll set up some time and go over that stuff.
Wonderful, wonderful. That might be the salvation I've been looking for. Because I was willing to try to run Vocalize in Linux as a what do you call it, a virtual machine, but I never got there.
That would also be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know, as Vocalize had a pronunciation dictionary, exception dictionary, so if you could change the way it pronounces things completely. And I had a pretty large list, about 60 items in my dictionary back then.
Fenrir also has dictionaries. You can change things around if you want to.
Oh, yeah, I would want to. Because I'm used to East Coast pronunciations. So, all right, well, go ahead.
It's very configurable. You can change the keyboard. You can have an entirely different keyboard file. It has dictionaries for how emoticons are pronounced. Punctuation is pronounced. Words. Yeah, it's very customizable.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you. I'll shut up for now.
Okay. I guess that is the end of the class, unless we have more questions. Okay, and I think I might actually upload this one to YouTube to give people an example of Stormux classes. Is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
Perfectly fine with me.
Okay, well, hopefully this one will go up on YouTube and people will get a example of these classes, and who knows, maybe I'll pick up some more patrons.
Let's hope so.
Well, y'all have a great, month until the next class. And remember to contact me about the stuff we talked about here. And I guess we'll see y'all next time.
So do you want me to contact you through Patreon or how?
Email's fine.
I don't know